Hey everybody, how's it going? So today we got two boards to review and I'm pretty stoked to talk about them because it's a local company from like right here in my area. So that's pretty sick. Let's get into it. So today we're going to be doing a review on Life skateboards and my complete setups I have of the two Life skateboards I got. So the first board that I'm going to show you is one that I picked out at the local shop here in Newcastle. It's the Pointer Brothers Skate Shop. They do BMX, paintball, skateboarding. I've brought them up before. Now my buddy, Bryce Miller, actually said that he designed this graphic and this deck shape. So I was pretty stoked when I found that out. There are some downsides to this board that I will bring up. Oh yeah, I also have the Pointer Brothers signature grip tape, which I will also talk about. So when it comes to this board, this is a 9-inch wide football or egg-shaped deck. And it's a 7-ply, but it really looks and feels and skates like it's an 8-ply. I didn't know how to feel about that. It's a really good board. It's got good pop. It's really good at the park. It rides well. It just feels a little bit heavy. And, you know, it looks thick. It looks heavy. I mean, look at this. It looks like a tank, and it rides like one, too. The concave is really nice. I mean, it's got really good shape, as you can see. It's great shape. I don't know why though that it's so thick and heavy. And like I said, it's a 7-ply. I looked over the amount of plies and I don't know. Skate's good though, as long as you got some strong legs. So their graphics are ink stamped on, and I think that's really cool. And you can definitely tell when it gets like worn out that it's ink stamped. You get some fading and some wearing away of the graphics here and there, which is just like any other board. It's just a different kind of wear, and at first I was like, huh, that's different. But then I took into consideration that it's just an ink stamp. Really dope graphics though. I mean, look at this graphic. That is so gnarly. So yeah, you know, cool graphics, great concave and shape, a little bit thick, a little bit clunky. And this was my first impression of a Life skateboard. And it almost completely scared me off from Life skateboards altogether until I got my second one, which we'll get into. But before we do, there's one more thing I want to address about their decks. This right here. Just like many skaters, when I get frustrated or when I get excited, you know, trying to land a trick or landing a trick, I tend to throw my board. This is the result of me throwing my board, and I'm not the type to really like throw my boards extremely hard. It's more like a toss up in the air, but it landed on a ledge right here. And I don't know, I guess the ledge, I don't know if the board just couldn't handle it, or maybe I threw it harder than I thought. I mean, it is a heavy setup, you know, it's got big 58 millimeter, 56 millimeter wheels on it. And they are heavy, but I don't know. This right here is what almost completely made me not buy another Life board. It's a little bit gnarly, considering all I did was toss it up in the air. You know, sometimes you get the one board out of a dozen that's like just not the strongest. The grip tape is a custom Jessup grip tape from the local Pointer Brothers skate shop. And you know, it's nice grip tape. It does the job when it comes to grip, but it's really thick and hard to cut. And it's too stiff. Like you can't really get it to flex and give to get a good clean cut. You gotta work with it a little bit and fight it. It actually cracked in a few places really early on in the use. But when it comes to grip, it grips really well. I also have Ace trucks on this board, and they are just the Ace Classics. They are 44s, so they are definitely a little too small for a 9-inch wide, but I do believe that this tapers down just like most football and egg-shaped decks to like a 8.75, a 8.5. I mean, you know, I'm surprised, honestly. I've never tried Ace trucks. I've rode Indies and Thunders my whole life. And when I got these, you know, Aces, I was just like, holy crap. I've never had a pair of trucks that felt so comfortable on coping and ledges. Like, these trucks are amazing for ledges and coping. If you want a good set of park trucks, I'd go with some Aces. And try out their other ones too, because if their base model Ace trucks are really good like that, I mean, I definitely recommend trying their basic ones and all of their more custom builds. Now on to these dang wheels. Honestly, I love them and I hate them at the same time. I wish I would have gotten a smaller size, but at the same time I don't know if that would have made much of a difference. So these wheels are 56 millimeter, 97 durometer, radial full Spitfire wheels. And yeah, they roll through anything. They're not too soft. You can still like power slide and revert on them, but they're just soft enough to where when you're going over a really rough terrain, you can go over it without issue. I mean, they're really good for crusty skate spots. At first these wheels were really good, but over time they started to slow down. And I think a lot of that has to do with the triple OG shake jump bearings getting dirty too. But I've noticed that these radial full 97 Spitfires, I noticed they get softer over time. They kind of don't wear out the way that other wheels do. And I started to get to the point where I would slow down drastically before I would even get to the next obstacle at the skate park to ride and do a trick. So yeah, with age they suck, but if you're able to buy new wheels regularly, yeah, sure, they're good wheels. And for crusty street spots, yeah, definitely. I definitely recommend getting a 54 though, not a 56, because they are heavy wheels. So there's some opinions of mine for my football shaped life deck with my Ace trucks and my Spitfire wheels. Also on these Ace trucks, the bushings, they're definitely meant to be rode loose because I slightly tightened them and they started to fall over. The bushing started to like bust. Okay, so a lot of pros and a lot of cons on that first life deck, and like I said, it almost completely turned me off to the idea of buying a life skateboard deck completely, and at the same time kind of made me feel like super hyped because it's a local Indiana company. But then I got this board. This board is a 9-inch wide popsicle from Life Skateboards. And as you can see, the trucks are actually proper size for the board. And I love this board. So this board looks a lot more thin in comparison to my Life football shaped deck. But the funny thing is, I counted and I looked over several times and they're both 7 plies. I don't know if they just used a thicker ply per ply on this board or what, but holy crap, look at the difference there. So this setup consists of some 54 millimeter 97A conical pig wheels, the Life skateboard deck 9-inch popsicle, some Bones Reds, and whatever kind of grip tape. So the reason I love this board is how thin and lightweight and responsive it is. Switching from the football shaped board that I have over here to this one was nuts. So I got this board when it was like pretty much brand new. I've skated it a lot since I got it, but it was pretty much completely brand new, only rode a couple of times, and I traded my BMX bike and got 30 bucks for this board. Dude really wanted a BMX bike, so I'm not gonna complain because this board, I mean, I got it when it was pretty much brand new, and this is like a $200 setup, so that's nuts to me. As you can see, it's got beautiful shape, just like the football shape deck. Their concave is really good. It almost feels kind of steep, but it's not at the same time. I think it's because it's such a wide board that the concave feels more mellow, but it definitely has some noticeable concave. Another thing that I want to bring up about these boards is their nose and tail. So they definitely have a really wide nose and tail on them, and it's almost flat on the tail, which is crazy too because it's like, I've never seen a tail so wide and flat. And it's symmetrical pretty much. I mean, look at that shape. It's almost symmetrical, but it almost feels like the tail is slightly wider and slightly more flat on the end. It's unique. I mean, something about Life Skateboards is they really like to get creative and experimental with their shapes, and I really enjoy that. Like they don't get they get crazy to the point that they make wild custom shapes, and then they also take into consideration like, hey, so I like this about popsicle boards, but how can I make this popsicle board better? And it turns into this result, you know, a really wide nose and tail, not just a really wide nose or a really big nose, and hell, I mean, I love it. So when it comes to the board, it is probably one of the best skateboards that I've ever rode, and this right here is what has made me decide I'm going to start skating life decks like regularly. I love this board. Now the pig wheels, I haven't skated pig wheels since middle school, and I'm 30 years old, so that says something right there. These are conical 97A 54mm pig wheels, and they feel harder than 97A, and they ride quick. Like, they're really great on smooth concrete at the skate park. Now on rough terrain, not so much. And obviously Bones Red's bearings, you know, that's what I got in there, and you know, they're Bones Red's bearings. You get what you pay for, you get what you expect. A really good pair of bearings. Now the lock-in on these conical pig wheels is nuts. I will put some clips at the end of the video of me skating this board and that board so you can see my lock-in ability and the difference and how they ride and how I ride on them. But these wheels lock in so comfortably. It blew my mind when I went and I ollied, locked in. It was like the most comfortable lock-in. I can readjust my footing casually mid-grind in a 50-50 with these pig wheels, and I'm just like, damn, that's sick. So I'm almost gonna say that I'm gonna buy another set of these exact same wheels when I need a new pair, because I love these wheels. And of course, you know, they're indie trucks. I mean, you can't go wrong with indie trucks, especially if you skate a lot of park like I've been doing recently. You know, they lock in good, they grind good, they're great for turning. I mean, they're all around good trucks. They're independent trucks. Now, obviously I bought this board very lightly used, so when it comes to the grip tape, I don't know what it is, but it looks like a Mob or a Black Diamond or, you know, a standard good grip tape. And it's really not over gripped. It's not like to the point where like your feet don't want to leave the board, and it doesn't thrash every pair of shoes you own, but it's got a real fine but solid grip to it. I love that. That's dope. So yeah, these are my life skateboards, and it's been quite a journey learning their different shapes and build designs and styles, but I love them both for their own reasons, and they're definitely sick. I definitely would recommend getting a football shape from them if you're doing things like curbs and slappy type stuff. It's either that or like bowl skating, because it is a heavy board and it's definitely not meant to be flipped unless you're just totally gnarly. But this board, this is a perfect all-around board. You can flip it, grind it, pool skate it, anything. So they both have their pros and cons, and they both definitely are fun to ride. But this board 100% convinced me to get another life skateboard. And I highly recommend you try them out because, well, they're fun. I mean, they're fun shapes, their build quality is really great. I don't know why this one did what it did down here, but hey, like I said, 1 out of every dozen or so, you know, has that little bit of fluke in the lamination. Whatever. So that was my personal opinion and review of my 2 life skateboard decks and them as complete skateboards. I hope you liked the video. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you watched till the end, and go ahead and check out my other videos. I've reviewed tons of skateboards, I've reviewed tons of products related to skateboarding, camera reviews, tutorials, everything. So go ahead and, like I said, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment if you got something to say, and have a good day. See ya.